And welcome back to WCS Europe Season 1 of 2014. We are down to just 3 players. Our next match features 2 gladiators from WCS Europe this year. They have both had a terrific run through. Back with me is Apollo after our first matchup. Let's just check in with the bracket as well. MC is finally in the gold box after a very long season. He will play tomorrow in the grand final for the 3rd consecutive season. Sean, he's played 3 seasons and he's been in 3 finals. You can't ask for much more than that, other than to bring home some gold at last, right?
It's time for a win for MC. It's been a very, very long time. When is he going to win? It very well could be tomorrow.
Got a great opportunity, but as he said in the interview, he's lost to both of these players in the past and doesn't particularly care about either of them either. MMA is fast becoming a bit of a nemesis, actually, for him.
I think he'd prefer MMA, though.
Do you?
Yeah, because PvP seems to be his Achilles heel recently. And if he was to meet San, and we know how good San is in PvP, I really think that MC would probably prefer if he had to choose MMA.
Okay, let's look forward to this next matchup then. MMA versus San. I dare say this could be the cracker we've been waiting for, because actually, let's be honest, cards on the table here, WCS Europe so far hasn't really lived up to the kind of matches that we would have liked to have seen. I mean, there's been some real thumps of matches, with Vortex particularly going out, San yesterday destroying Wellmo 3-0. It's time to have a really good match. WCS America's been stealing all of the good matches so far.
Yeah, they've had all the good games. It seems to be that even though all the matchups coming into Europe seem to be close, they've been not as close as people would have expected. I think probably more people expected Jackchi to put up a bigger fight versus MC there. This one, is it good? I hope it's going to be the one.
I do too, but I'm not going to put the mockers on it by saying it's definitely going to be that. But let's just wait and see. The 2 players themselves, I think it's fair to say that, you know, we've got one man who has been there, seen it, done it all, has won at least a Premier tournament every year for the last 3 years. San only really has come to light in the last 6 to 8 months or so and has really shown how good he is. I mean, this is the 8th time now out of 8 tournaments that he's reached the round of 8 at the very least, which is incredible consistency in the kind of competitive arena we have now in StarCraft 2. But he has a couple of Achilles heels. One of those is that he's not very good at PV2. And this is all relative. This is like me saying I'm not very good at TVP, but that's not the same thing. He's not as good as some of his other matchups. We know his PVZ is just out of this world. But if he's got one Achilles heel, it is PVT.
Absolutely. In the games that he's won and the tournaments he's finished high in, they were all against Protoss or Zerg players. And he scraped through past the Terran players in the earlier rounds to meet up in the top higher parts of the bracket against these players. It's the one thing that I mentioned yesterday is San is a very all-round player. He can pretty much play the early game, mid-game, and late game very well as an all-round complete package, as Todd likes to...
Indeed.
Likes that one. But he is struggling against Terran. Even though, can we say struggle? It's just a little bit weaker than the others, so it is hard to peg it as a struggle.
Yeah, how much would you put stock on the only Terran loss that he's had in WCS Europe? It was all the way back at the very beginning of the round of 32 against Daishi.
I think it's a little bit of a backup to the statement, as it can be his weakness, but it doesn't necessarily have to be his weakness, because one game is hard to judge on, but it's definitely something that you don't want to forget about. On
the positive side, he's 2-1 right now in matchups against MMA, and really we can't even talk about the third one because it was so long ago, but the last 2 times they've met, 3-1 and 3-2 victories for San. Interestingly, it's the 4th time they've met in StarCraft 2 offline, and it's the 4th time in a best of 5.
The games when they played were very close, actually, but MMA and a lot of other Terran players during the periods of the last 2 times they played were struggling against Protoss. But Terran players, even though I say this despite the result we just saw, are starting to fight back against Protoss now, so I think it's a much better setup this time.
Okay, MMA, just very quickly before we go over to the commentators, because the players are almost ready. He's had a wild run, it has to be said, through round of 32. It's almost like it takes him a while to get going or something. I mean, 3 matches in the round of 32 to get him through, 3 matches in the round of 16 to get him through, and then a very decisive victory against Snoot yesterday, 3-1.
The comparison between round of 32, 16, and then the cutoff point to yesterday's games when he played was the difference between me and you and then a professional player again. It really felt like that much of a difference. He almost shouldn't even be here. He almost lost to MVP, his longtime rival. The difference between that and what we saw yesterday, he looked like the champion of WCS again. He looked like that guy that was unstoppable. If he can just play just a little bit worse, if he plays any better, then it's already over, but just a little bit worse, he's looking good.
Yeah, I mean, we shouldn't forget he is the defending champion of WCS Europe right now. It seems so long ago, Season 3 of 2013. He's also had some very good form recently offline, 21-7 in TVP, so we've talked about the whole Terran struggling against Protoss before the last update, and really only Polt was the man that kind of flipped on that. But MMA's got a decent record.
Absolutely, and I think one of his biggest strengths to back up that record is that as a Protoss player against MMA, if you try to cut any corners, that's when he's going to be all over you. And we saw yesterday he was in 4 places at once. You try to cut corners with your army or your gateway count or your production facilities overall, he's going to be in there. So he naturally is going to make you play a lot more defensive setup. And compared to the last Terran versus Protoss we saw, I think it's going to be a very different setup.
Okay, thank you very much, Apollo. Players, I can see, are just getting ready for the map veto. So let's head over to your commentary team for our second semi-final. Who goes through to play the boss toss? Is it MMA or San? Here's Kalaris and Todd.
Thanks for reminding us, Sean. He is the complete package, is San, as he now faces off against MMA in this round of 4 to find out who plays against MC.
Yeah, this is a matchup where basically both players, one might argue this is not their best matchup, but this is a big occasion, and again, they've had time to prepare a minimum for this. And San, to be honest, it's not his best matchup versus Terran, but of course it's not. He's versus Zerg. He's like basically rank 1 in the world or something.
Yeah, it's crazy his numbers.
Against Protoss, he's shown so much strength, so of course you cannot be that dominant in StarCraft 2. It's very difficult. It's a very, very competitive game. So as much as it's not his best matchup, I actually think he's very, very scary versus Terran. And the same thing could be said for MMA. It's very hard for his TVP to match up to his TVZ, for example.
Yeah.
And I really like what was mentioned, by the way, with the MMA that we saw in the round of 32, then in the round of 16, and then in the round of 8 previously. It's like every time we see him lately, he gets better. And he's going to remove Altazim. And, you know, it's funny like how Altazim always gets removed by one or another. It's like there is a mutual agreement that this map is difficult. Daedalus point was removed. I think they're like the 2 most removed maps right now.
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
And Daedalus... only a few Protosses like MC actually are okay with playing on it. Whereas San, I don't think it's his style too much to go for Blink player, to go for like Oracle plus 3 gateways. San is much more of a standard. What I expect out of this series is what I was kind of expecting out of the first series, which was Foolish, as I said, a standard PvT. With San, even if he opens with some aggression, like some Blink or some Oracle, he's never going to commit all that much to it. He's never going to put all his eggs in the same basket. He's always going to have some transition plans and ready to be executed.
That's what's made him a great player in this past year or so that we've seen San really rise to the top. On the international scene, at least, doing pretty well for himself. And now MMA, our defending champion, heads into this best of 4, and as you guys said, you know, he's looked like a different MMA in the previous round, and just having to prepare for one lone opponent compared to the group stages, which can always be turbulent in WCS Europe. We've seen many a champion fallout in group stages in the past for WCS in 2013. We've seen many a fan favorite dropout, but MMA is here. He has stood the test of time from his championship in Season 3 and is looking for another one here in Season 1 of 2014.
He's the last Terran standing, man.
Yeah, last Terran. He is the Terran shield compared to Jakji to stand in the way of a PvP final.
The Terran shield.
Yeah, sure.
More...
you got to bunker down
more
and hope for the
Kingslayer
best.
references or something?
No, man, no, I can't do those anymore. Although I didn't do too bad against Dead Game, so that was okay. And now we have San here. He hasn't really played that many Terrans. A lot of his success throughout the WCS system has been against Protoss and Zerg, but all of that talent still transitions over to versus Terran. It's still there.
San actually impressed me a lot versus Terran back in New York, remember?
Against Hack, was it?
Hack, and I think he played Flash maybe as well. And he had some very, very good games. He made it look easy. I remember Hack was actually playing pretty decently versus Protoss, and San just basically bashed him completely in the series that they played. It was not even close. Charge Lord Templar, transition into Colossus, just timings, perfect timings on everything, the attacks, the defense was good. He was already back then the complete package. And
now he's even more of a complete package.
He's going to need to be here versus MMA. Because this guy is very, very good himself.
Would you call MMA a complete package, Todd?
What is this?
That's
an almost complete package?
An almost complete package? Well, he has a title in that package at least. He's looking for a second one here in WCS Europe, a second WCS title, of course. But San is also hungry for it. He has been quietly dominating his corner of the world over in Taiwan, just winning, and never really having to worry too much that he comes to these international tournaments. He won Aces ROG. He's now here in the round of 4.
He won TSL for sure once, and he's doing well in the other one that he's playing in.
Yeah.
He's like the Hazu Ops of Taiwan. Like he wins, he wins the local tournament every single time.
Yeah, he does pretty well. All right, well, we are now loading up onto Heavy Rain as our first map between these two to find out who is going to go into the grand final to play against MC. Will it be MMA, a player that's already been there before? He defeated MC in the finals. Or will it be San, a guy that currently sits really high in WCS ranking, as you can probably tell. Doing pretty well for himself so far in 2014. As we have spawning up to the north, our Red Terran representing Team Acer. Our reigning champion, it is MMA. And down to the south, our blue Protoss, currently ranked #1 in the world in WCS rankings. Representing Yo Flash Wolves, it is San.
If he wins the tournament here, he's basically already qualified for the global finals, and we're only in the 4th month of the year. So that's pretty nice of an achievement to have scored that many points early in the year.
Yeah.
You know, on this map, with another Protoss, say for example MC, you could be anticipating a very good chance of seeing heavy blink play, but with somebody like San, it's so much harder to predict. He's capable of doing almost anything, but not in the sense that he will go for, as I said before, big committal on Stargate and then big aggressions with these 3 gateways. So usually it's either going to be some Stargate or some blink poking, some DT, sometimes DT drops, while he expands and takes to the next level. Usually with 1 or 2 Forge is capable of doing both. And again, it's going to be hard to predict what this guy does, but you can, as a Terran, you should be able to anticipate that he's never going to commit all that much to whatever he opens with. And I think that's what we've seen very often out of him in the past. So for MMA, to have this kind of information, I guess he could be a little bit more confident than if he had to play one of those wild Protosses that can do almost anything and really go with it.
Well, it looks like he's going to be opening up here with a quick tech lab, actually. I was going to say, that was really strange.
He cancelled and made the reactor.
Yeah, that was a misclick. I was a bit concerned as to what he was actually doing there.
I don't think he clicks
on
the add-ons to make them.
Well, I mean, whatever the case, it was the wrong one. A typo?
Yes.
So he could actually still add on Reapers from here to actually poke across.
Yes, double Reaper, also a possibility. Still mining quite a bit of gas. And San on this map, I think if he plays it standard with Colossus plus Blink, just takes the 3rd base, and then from there see where it goes into Storm. Against somebody like MMA, it will be a nice way to open the series by showing how strong his micro is. But remember, MMA is basically the best Medivac user in the world. He's going to be all over the place dropping and trying to do damage, even in the late game. Even in the late game where there's Templars, Blinkstalkers, he's like, you know what? I've been bringing the fight to you, and I'm sure you're not going to have units back in your main or something like that to be able to defend, or at least not enough. I'm just going to fly in 4 Medivacs boosted in there and crush your tech and a lot of your key buildings in your main. And a lot of Protoss players have fell victim to this style before.
Wow, adding on another 2 Reapers. I wasn't expecting that. So going up to 4 in total, leaving 1 behind.
And he's still mining a bit of gas with the 3 SCVs on that 1 refinery. This is weird. I wonder he goes up to how many Reapers here in total?
If he goes up to any more than 4, I would be extreme. I mean, I'm surprised by 4, but if he went up to 6, then I would be like, whoa, calm down. But he sees the Twilight Council, so I don't think he can even afford much more Reaper production unless, there we go. So swings out of that. After seeing Twilight, you can't add on more Reapers. They're going to be useless later on.
It's funny how San didn't even try to hide that at all. You see, he has a pylon in the right-hand side of his base. He even has a probe on the map. We could be seeing something like a Dark Shrine here, possibly hidden on the map. Or this probe is just hidden there to go at a later time to check and see if there are bunkers, if there's a quick third base or anything like that.
I think whatever the case here, though, with now 4 Reapers jump in, and then they can actually rival this Stalker for quite a bit. They can actually kill that off a probe. Look at how many probes he pulls off. He is really not taking any chances with this. He realizes this is a big threat.
Yeah.
And good micro so far.
Oh, is he going to overcharge?
He needs to focus. Yeah, he actually had to focus.
He's
down
going to get all of them, maybe. At least 1 or 2 more.
Yeah. So
actually, he's walling. He's not great. He needs to pull probes on time. Yeah, he blocks with 1. Oh my god, that was so good. He's going to get all of them now.
And he gets another kill. So he's actually up to 5 worker kills throughout this.
Yeah, but San is still ahead on walkers, and he has banked up a bunch of chrono boosts, so he's going to be able to chrono boost out a lot of probes from there. And you see he started blink. I wonder how many gateways does he get with this? They are late, by the way.
1, 2.
Because of all the action that happened, he made the probes late, and now he's going to start adding gateways late. And only 2 at first. This doesn't mean he won't be adding a bunch more in a bit. By the way, he's starting to proxy pylons. Okay, so no additional gateways, at least before that. And MMA is preparing the defense anti-blink, since he knows that there's blink. Seeing that probe, this is going to tell him that there is a pylon basically on the right-hand side. Most likely. So he could have gone there and killed it, but San anticipated that. When he saw the army, he's like, basically, I know that he knows, so I'm just going to cancel and not lose a pylon for free here.
Yeah, and there's still the opportunity here for San to lure his opponent into a false sense of insecurity and poke out with the Stalkers at the front whilst Blink is on the way. He drops his scanners these 2 gateways.
Oh, wow. He missed the gas and the natural. And the Robo is made just right outside the vision, so this is great here for San. I think MMA, though, with that aggression, is going to be able to realize exactly what kind of Blink plays up against. And he doesn't have concussive shell, so he shouldn't be able to kill the Stalkers unless San really messes up. He's gonna have to... Okay, he pulls back now. Needs to react very, very quickly.
MMA separating out a few, 2 squads of units just so that they can clear out anything that will be along the top side after seeing that probe. But again, it's just not there. San has to fall back to his natural. He has sentries for this defense, so he should be okay, but it doesn't have... Okay, so it's about to have energy from Photon Overcharge, so he should be fine.
He's delaying that a little bit. With the sentries, he wants to make sure he traps the army before using the Photon Overcharge if possible. MMA sees that. He's going to have to pull back and wait for the rest of his army to rejoin this. And yes, actually quite a scary army count. That factory was very, very late. This is the new age Terran versus Protoss that we see here. The anti-blink play with the committal on 3 barracks, great force fields. Yeah,
catches a lot of those units, but no extra force fields if he was trying to get one
for the ramp.
Yeah, he absolutely had to save one for that. So he's going to catch a lot of these units, kill off quite a lot of them as well, trying to run away. The force fields do dissipate and he gets out eventually, but resources lost. Very even actually in this, very even.
The thing is, sentries died here, and San, it's a little bit weird. I wonder if he was planning for this or if he feels compelled to go into Immortals. He's getting a second one right now. And not starting a Robo Bay just yet. Double Forge. Oh, I think this is one of the good counter to this build. The thing is, the Double Forge is very, very late, 10 minutes into this game. But we've seen before, remember, I think it was Patience. He knew that his Terran opponents kept on opening with this tri-barracks and huge committal to bio before taking to Minivacs. So he got the Double Forge, chrono boosted out a lot of gateway, a lot of upgrades. And then he did very well with his upgrades. At least in one of the games, because I think he still lost that series. Might have been against maybe Port or one of those, maybe Jack G.
Yeah, he identified it, that's for sure, and he did go for that Double Forge play. But RoboBay is going down behind this as well. 1-1 starts, probably going to be seeing a lot of Chrono Boost focused into that, so he can really start ramping up those upgrades. But MMA now has his Starport in action. He's cranking out those Medevacs, and if he gets any whiff, any indication that there is going to be full RoboBay play, which he only sees just the gateways in the middle, but he already saw the Robo anyway.
He saw the Robo, but he doesn't know if there's going to be Colossus or if it's going to be Templar tech. Like, a Robo is a must at this point. And a bunch of gateways are being added already by San. I guess he's already done well with building up his walker count. I mean, we're already at almost the 12th minute, so of course he did. But I wonder, is there a chance he could go for a timing here? I mean, it's San. I don't really expect him to go all that often into a 2-base. And even if he was, I think it will be just basically to slow down his opponent's third and never to commit all that much. San is really that one guy that almost always takes a 3rd base, I feel, versus Terran.
And MMA has actually like spotted both of these probes up at, I think, the top left, etc., but didn't really fully find them. That probe even sees the drop.
What a ninja.
Great pickup by San.
He's not moving his army yet. Did he not notice?
He just dropped that pylon in the range of those medevacs, so he did see that pylon as well. And he's on a rally down here, so he's looking to spot medevacs.
Yeah, but he has nothing prepared in his main. If those medivacs were to drop in a corner where it's dark and you cannot see.
I don't think he actually did see them, you know? I mean, he saw, the probe did see them, but did San actually spot them in the end? I don't think so, because right now, MMA is moving through the middle here with an army as well, trying to catch a few of these stalkers.
That's his cue. He's going to boost the 2 medivacs in, and San is going to have to react very quickly. He needs to pull probes away maybe from those.
Underpowering anything he can get, and trying to supply block his opponent as well. Whilst this pushes forwards, actually he cancelled Zealot. Well, I mean, Zealot Charge is just not being researched right now. Really needs to get that power back up because Zealot Charge is important to hold off this kind of army.
Yeah, and 2-2 should be starting momentarily. Yet there it is by San. And at this point, MMA is just trying to slow down the third base of San, and he's going to be quite successful at it for quite a while. Because if you look at the production tab, it doesn't really make sense for the Protoss player to fight before all these upgrades finish. At least, okay, he's going to get the thermal lens, so he's going to have a fighting chance if he splits his army in half. Usually you leave the Stalkers back in the main to snipe the medivacs if they drop, and you move out to the third base with the rest. And actually, having those 2 Immortals really going to help you for San.
Being able to spot that drop on the left-hand side once again with the Observer, and also spots this entire army in the middle of the map, but 2 Widow Mines strategically placed to the north.
Ooh.
Trying to catch some of this. Ooh, that was close.
14 minutes 30, third base. This is extremely late. Extremely late. Ideally, you want to take this third base as soon as possible, as soon as 10 minutes, 11 minutes sometimes, 12 minutes, not 15 minutes. And this is really going to show in the supply count. I think MMA is going to start taking off, and then if he goes for a follow-up attack, say before Storm, with or without SCVs, he's going to be quite deadly.
MMA is running away with the macro, you're right. These 2 Widow Mines are actually holding a very strong position here. Look at this concave that MMA has actually set up. The 2 Colossi are going to have to move to a position of safety in between this mineral line, but if the Zealots get cleaned up on the right-hand side and this army powers through on the left, there's a Colossus idle in the natural as well, and he got on top of the Colossi. Without any Vikings, he's actually going to bring these down. The Colossus from the natural now joins the fight, but look at the army that MMA has amassed here, crushing down that third base, crushing the army. GG. Game number 1 goes to MMA with very strong execution.
Very impressive. This is the man that I feel has been playing better every single time we see him in this tournament. And well, if this keeps going and he wins here, you can anticipate a very scary MMA to be playing in the finals against MC, because this was so impressive. So many Terrans were not there attacking at this point. They will see that they have a supply lead, obviously, but attacking into Colossi like this, into sentries ready to force field, ready to Guardian Shield, a bunch of Stalkers ready to take out the Vikings, especially Viking count was extremely low here. There was 2 Colossi in the middle, a third one that came out and that actually stood idle at a natural, which was pretty bad for San, obviously, but MMA set up the fight perfectly, and this was kind of a Zerg move here to some extent. You know, Zergs, they've been doing this for a long time, setting up a big concave, and then you go for it, and so you don't let the Colossus basically kill your entire army by being too clumped up. So this was a great move, and as I said, this was because of the late third base of San. If he had gone away with, say, like 11 minutes or 12 minutes third base, he would have been set up with a lot more units to be able to keep up with the supply of his opponent, and I think he would have had the photon overcharge too in that fight. No, he didn't. The Mothership Core, it was the way. He wasn't doing anything during that fight. You're gonna want those spells to really help.
And let us not forget that everything that happened in game number 1 there, that was MMA's map choice. He was the first one to choose the maps. He goes to Heavy Rain, normally a map where people are feeling like, well, you know, there might just be a blink play hitting here. But everything lined up for MMA. It really felt like in that game. Very well executed, very clean cut.
You know what Apollo would say if he was here?
What would he say?
Terran!
Oh yeah, he would. He'd be like, Terran! But so, I mean, MMA's done really well there with that first victory. I mean, a lot of people going into this round of 4 were pegging San as the big favorite. MMA taking that first game, that is a step in the right direction for our champion, our defending champion here at WCS Europe. But now let's jump into game number 2. Frost is our map, as we have PVT, MMA versus San, the defending champion, currently 1 game up against the challenger. So we have, spawning up to the top left-hand corner, the champion himself in the red, representing Team Acer. It is MMA. And down to the bottom left, our blue Protoss, currently ranked number 1 in the WCS system in 2014, representing Yo Flash Wolves. It is San.
I think the positions here will play a very important role on how this goes down. Close position, vertical. Did I say that right? Vertical?
Yep, vertical. Yeah.
Close position can make for very action-packed games, and actually with the natural being towards the natural of San being towards, or I guess both of each other's natural being towards their opponents, I guess it's not that bad for San, whereas he will be dropped very easily and all that. I feel like if it was horizontal and MMA was on the bottom right, then dropping into that main would actually be very easy. Taking a third base would be super tricky for San, but now he's going to be a position where the only place he really needs to fortify is going to be his natural to really be able to look out for drops. And a few observers in good position can really help with that. That's if we see a standard game, which again, from these two, I expect a lot of the time.
Yeah.
But I don't know, San, with the way the first game went, might change things up a little bit more here. What do you think? Any chance we see some kind of crazy blink play?
I mean, I think he has to do something a little bit different, be it taking the initiative a bit quicker with a third base, for example. You mentioned it was very, very late, or just seizing an opportunity earlier on and putting on some aggression against MMA, because let's not forget, we already just saw in the previous series, there are a lot of opportunities for Protoss to really start powering forwards against the Protoss and really causing them a lot of pressure early on.
MMA scouting counterclockwise. Any comments, Kylaris?
Then, yeah, I'm surprised by that, actually. I'm very, very surprised.
You know, it's funny, I feel like more and more people have been doing it, and I don't know if it's because of our commentary about it. They're like, oh yeah, everybody's kind of clockwise. From now on, I'm going to mix it up a little bit more.
It'd be so silly now, though, if San's like, oh, right, well, you must be, like, you can scout clockwise, so now I'm going to go anti-clockwise, and then he, like, completely misses him.
Yeah.
Stick to your plan, San. Go clockwise, my friend.
We'll see if he changes, or which direction he goes in scouting to. I was asking Stardust actually about this. He told me his scouting pattern, absolutely random. Or so he thinks.
Oh, okay.
I told him, what is random? How do you decide? And then he didn't know what to say. I was like, maybe you scout clockwise, but you don't even realize it. Random for you is clockwise.
Oh, nice pick up there.
Oh, wow. This is such a big deal. I cannot believe MMA just lost that one Reaper.
For the cost of a probe, I don't really think that was worth it. Losing it now, it really keeps him in the dark.
Well, what is going on today with Terrence and army movement on Frost? We saw Jack J earlier really blocking his army, actually in that same position that MMA is in now.
Oh.
And it looks like MMA wants to play this similarly, obviously with less Reapers opener, in particular live ones.
But it's just not as easy to really make them useful on this map, right?
Yeah.
There's not that much room to jump in. That Zealot's already positioned to greet another one if it were to come along. So San, he's locking himself down. During all of this, and Twilight Council behind this again. So San, you know, he could, with the negation of a Reaper completely, why not just do this? And, you know, MMA now has to scan at some point, which is costing him money in the grander scheme of things.
The thing is, San has completely skipped on scouting in this game, and he's actually used the sacrificial Zealot here to go and check for where his opponent is at. Clockwise, by the way.
Oh, wow.
Might I say.
No, that's anti-clockwise, man.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Yeah? What is going on? You guys.
Yeah, getting things a little bit mixed. Okay, does he go for a scout? Yeah. Okay, so when you go with this Zealot for a scout, you just want to know where your opponent is. You don't expect to be able to get into the main and see exactly what he's up to. And this is actually very risky. It's very, very greedy, that opener that San did. If MMA had gone for a Reaper into a factory and then maybe some kind of quick medivac drops, he's keeping on detection for a long time, but since he's going Dark Shrine, I'm fully expecting a Robo to be starting somewhere soon. And no Forge as well.
I mean, just as Funko was alluding to there, he dropped the scan, he saw the Twilight Council, but he didn't see anything researching. So what else would it be? He starts the engineering bay MMA. He knows what's up top.
Yeah. A little bit surprised there is still no Robo here by San. If there had been Widow Mines, I guess since he saw a Reaper, there cannot be all that quick of Widow Mines made. But still, you always need to be careful. And there it is. Goes for the Robo. And nice Dark Shrine placement, actually.
There's actually a pylon already up there past the watchtower.
Yeah, great position. This is outside of the range of the watchtower.
Oh.
And well, as I say that, MMA being on top of things here, he's gonna spot that. And you see a pylon at this timing, you know it's almost always gonna be for some kind of DT play or an upcoming attack. And oh, 2 DTs walked in front of that Marine. They're actually gonna kill it. I'm not sure this is worth it.
amazing either. I mean, it's behind this, it's 39 workers to 35. The Dark Templars do not get in. A great block there by MMA with those units.
Okay, he was transferring his probes to his main. I was like, what is San up to? And now he sends them back to natural. I think it was worth it. You know why? To kill all those probes? Because there was the DD tech out of San. He didn't focus on making walkers for a very long time. So if you look at the walker count right now, San should be quite far ahead. He should be at least 10 walkers ahead. But instead of that, he's only 4 walkers ahead right now, which is not a good number to be at just a little bit before the 9th minute.
Well, again, I have to come back and say that that block there from MMA with those 2 Marines and 1 Marauder, very, very strong against those 2 Dark Templars. Warp Prism is going to be added into the mix, though, now, and has already picked up 1 Dark Templar, as he already knows his opponent's missile turret positioning, which is all important. He was only focusing on the front. He's not accounted for this Warp Prism to go around the back, be a bit sneaky. There are scans available here, though, for MMA.
You know, it's really nice to see MMA playing this, trying to play this solid and to completely outplay his opponent, not doing anything special or funky in particular to try and surprise him. He's like, I'm going to play standard, and I'm going to read properly into what you're doing, and I'm going to beat you.
Oh, it was so close to actually killing off. Is it going to die? Is it going to die?
It's like a DT stuck in your mass bio, and the Warp Prism escapes with 2 hit points, actually. 2 hit points.
That was wacky races there, man. He got away just barely. Well, hold on, Warp Prism. Good job for you. But now you can be a bit of an annoyance later on. This 1 Marine, he's on the hunt. I don't think he's going to get him, though. Sad times.
Is this Billy? The return of Billy?
Who's Billy?
Billy the Marine, man. In WCS America, he killed like 40-something units. This 1 Marine, man.
Oh, I remember that guy. Okay, yeah. My memory's really bad.
He's back. Well, he only has 1 kill right now.
Yeah, he's not doing quite as well. He wants that Warp Prism, though.
San going into Colossus behind this, it makes sense. A lot of people would expect somebody who opened DTs to go into Storm, but again, the Widow Mines make this start very, very hard to play. So he was out of position here for a moment. Can he snipe the Dark Shrine, actually? I wonder.
Good.
Okay, no, he's not going to go for it. I guess he would have lost at least one of the Medivacs and not been able to escape with a bunch of those units. Not worth the trade here for MMA. And yeah, San again. I fully expect him to go for a 3rd base from there and to try and play it kind of standard. And it's going to be interesting to see at what time he takes it. If he takes it very, very late again, I would say he's going to have horrible chances to win in this game because, again, you need that 3rd base as soon as possible versus Terran. And while making sure that you don't die. Sometimes you rush that 3rd base and then it's the one time that the Terran didn't take his own. He just attacks with like mass SCVs and you just die.
Zealot being warped in up on the top right as this Marine continues. He now has medevac support to try and chase this down. So he can actually pick it up, boost forwards, try and kill off this. If the micro is good enough here from MMA, he can deal with that. Oh, a great block just in the nick of time. Oh, wait, he runs away and lets it land. Never mind.
Oh, Billy.
All right, it's time.
Not Billy, it's another one.
It's time. Will he get his Warp Prism? This is a job he's been done for. This was his life's job and he gets it. Congratulations, Marine. Good job for you.
That is a lot of excitement for just one Warp Prism.
That was what he was made for. That was his job, and he did it.
Yeah, great defense here again by MMA, being close enough to make sure those units don't do all that much damage. And I have to say, I'm very impressed by MMA so far in this series. I've said it, he's playing it standard and super solid, but do you see how solid he's been? Look at the units lost. He's defended everything that was thrown at him. The one little bit of harass that he did, he didn't overcommit to. He escaped with the Medivacs.
Yeah, there is a slight supply block here, but not too much. There's 2 supply drops actually at the back of his base, so he needs to get out of those as quickly as possible so that he can actually just continue powering on the macro, because MMA's macro is absolutely phenomenal if he's let go with it. Adding on the 2nd starport, he knows Colossi are out, he wants those Vikings up and running very quickly. Only has 3 medevacs to his name, so it's not the highest of counts just yet.
13 minutes 3rd base was started earlier, by the way, so much better than in the previous game. And, oh wow, the Stalker's in the middle of the map, getting a little bit cheeky here. He's going to have to be careful.
It's got the blink, though. Can get us frisky, a little bit frisky, and pulls on back. But Templar Archives is now being added on, so San's really propelling himself forwards now to the ideal composition that he would really like against MMA.
This is definitely looking much better. The way he's executed all that build and everything than in the previous game. MMA, though, as solid as he's been, he's used 3 cooldown supply in his main base. So maybe not doing too well with the macro and making supply depots on time. And yeah, Ghost Academy starts here.
Sickest scan.
At a good timing. His army doesn't look that big over here in the middle of the map, but yeah, he has a huge portion of it on the left-hand side. I think if he does a 2-pronged attack and San reacts a little bit too slowly, MMA could do a lot of damage here, but I think San looks prepared.
I think he's just going to try and draw his opponent straight down to that third and then poke in, but at the same time now...
Where is the Mothership Core? Where is Mama? Actually, yeah, she's close to the natural, so he could just photon overcharge that. He has one cannon there, some Blink Stalkers nearby. And I think MMA realizes that, and she's just going to pull back right now and keep on macroing in the meantime. He's adding on Ghost right now, and I love that MMA went into double starport very, very quickly. You see, this Colossi, they're never going to be a threat to him. The only thing he's really going to have to worry about later on in the game is the Storm. But with the 4 Ghosts that he's getting, before basically Storm even starts being researched, he's actually done very well. Those two, they are basically playing the most standard PvT you can play here.
He doesn't
very,
have
very well.
vision. Ouch, ouch.
I don't think he can get that many kills.
Maybe like 4. How many was that? Yeah! All right, and MMA still pressing forward with a little bit of that army, but drops double warp Widowmine. He didn't actually notice those for a second, so a little bit of a slow reaction, loses a few workers, 19 kills so far. Yeah. That was a really cool delayed Widowmine drop here that you don't normally see in this matchup.
You know, this happened to me once on Yonsu, where there was a Widowmine up the ramp behind the middle patch, and I transferred all probes to one patch. And can you imagine the rest? Oh, actually, he's gonna reload. I don't... Oh, wow. 9. Oh, wow. I didn't think 5 more kills. Yeah, this is kind of bad. San he's just fell to 59 walkers. Imagine if he had those 9 additional probes. His production capability will be a lot better. Now he gets a photon cannon in the main to make sure he can defend. And MMA, is he really going for an attack? Yeah, I guess he is. With some nice can here and good EMPs.
This arm is looking scary. Uh-oh, it actually lands a lot of EMPs across some of those Zealots, warping in a few more as possible, but the Vikings focusing down these Colossi. One of them ends up falling. Mothership Core trying to come to the aid of all of this. The Stalkers, though, they're not really doing their job. They didn't kill off the Vikings quickly enough. MMA, once again, powers through San's army. Storm was not ready at all. The Ghosts didn't even need to do a huge amount. GG, MMA takes a 2-0 lead, and our reigning WCS champion is once again on the verge of a final. This is an amazing MMA that we are seeing right now.
I think going to this match, a lot of people were basically putting or saying that San was a favorite here. He's rank 1 in WCS World Rankings right now. He's been doing very well, but MMA really delivering so far in this series. Again, this is very impressive. The entire way he's played this has been beautiful from start to finish. He's making sure he's always ready for whatever is going to come. And I feel like stylistically, San does not match up all that well versus somebody as solid as MMA right now in a long and macro game. This is the reason a lot of pros, they all in a lot, like MC, he does all the special builds because he does not want the games to go like this. It's so difficult to be the player like MMA, Innovation, all these guys. Once they take a third base, they start being well saturated on 3 bases before you. They're going to transform that into a nice supply lead. They're always going to know when to attack and when not to. And that makes it so hard to win against these guys if you just play a regular and standard game. I feel like the best Protoss player that could make that happen is maybe Rain. But even him has been having a lot of trouble versus Terran lately after the most recent patch. And MMA here really playing this beautifully, I have to say.
Yeah, I think if we really hone down on what we are seeing in this series right now, you said it yourself, a lot of people pegged San to be the favorite here. But this is San's Achilles heel, this matchup. He's still very good at it, just not as good against Terrans as he is against Protoss and Zerg. MMA has ruptured that Achilles heel,
so
my
is he
man.
not the complete package in the end?
Maybe not so much. The bow's missing a little bit. I think it's his MMA is really... He is coming to this so prepared. He is looking like the champion that we saw from Season 3 and beyond. He is looking phenomenal here in this final bracket of WCS Europe. Season 1, 2014. One map stands between MMA and the Grand Finals. San has to battle back, as we now have, spawning up to the top right-hand corner as our Red Terran, the champion of the previous WCS Europe season. Representing Acer, it is MMA. And up to the top left-hand corner, we have our blue Protoss. Representing your Flash Wolves, it is San.
I think a PvT final would be cool for a change.
Yeah?
You agree?
If it's MMA
Have you
and
had
MC,
enough of the PEP finals?
there's been a few of them. There's been a few of them. But to be fair, they're always kept kind of fresh because every single one of them is totally crazy that we end up casting.
Yeah.
But MMA versus MC, I'm okay with that. If that happens, I'm okay with that.
A rematch, too.
Yeah.
Would be pretty sick. And both of them so far with great performances in their semi-finals matches. MMA, though, on this map, if there was to be a 2-base timing, I feel like this could be one of the better maps for it, for San to try and do something like that. And it's weird to say that too, because San versus Zerg, he has so many 2-base timings, like literally so many. Like he will open Stargate, do a Colossus all in behind it. Sometimes he just does either the Immortal or the Colossus timing on 2-base. But against Darren, it really feels like he doesn't like to go for those. He doesn't feel like it's viable at all. And even now, after watching MC be quite successful with some nice 2-base timings himself, it looks like San is in this mindset where he thinks he has to take a 3rd base for sure to be able to take the victory against somebody like MMA, which so far is not proved effective at all.
And this is, right now in this series, this is MMA just like completely disproving the doubters and just saying, you know, I am the champion of the previous season. I am that guy who is just looking so formidable. MC and MMA, if we do get that final once again, it's unbelievable to think that it's exactly the same final as the previous season. So this certainly could happen. But San, likewise, no stranger to a recovery, as he is going to try his best from here on out. Sees a pile on that right-hand side as MMA. Might give him a little bit of a telltale as to what San might try here, but we'll see for now.
MMA, he's just playing so well right now, especially in comparison to the previous rounds. You know, in the round of 32, he beat Nighten 2-0, which is nice, but he lost to Elmu 1-2. So
yeah,
he's not unbeatable in the matchup, and it feels like he's prepared so well for this. And he hasn't even had all that much time to do it too, because he was just playing against Snood yesterday. So pretty insane how well this guy looks to be prepared going into this match, at least so far. Obviously, he hasn't won yet, but those first 2 games were extremely convincing out of him.
Ah, I like this from MMA, keeping that SCV still there. That Mothership Core does end up spotting it, but he sees still the lack of a Nexus.
I think he's like the Medivacs, maybe. Okay.
Wait,
no,
where is that Nexus? Oh, he's taking the gold.
Yeah, of course
okay.
he is.
It's back to what we saw before.
He opened with the Stargate, so like I said, if there was... Oh, wow, this is big. Knowing here is going to be very important. And remember, we just saw a similar opener here out of MC versus Jack-G, and I think a lot of Terrans, they're going to be able to realize what they're up against if they at least scout the Stargate or the gold. I mean, they know that there is the possibility for a big timing to come just right behind this with a lot of gateways and void rays. The thing is, this is going to be a very different game here than what we saw earlier, because MMA is not opening bio. He's opening with a very quick Widow Mine and a Starport as well. So Widow Mines, they're really going to help against these Oracles, supposedly, as long as San, I guess, he's not all that careful and not shy about it. Like, if he tries to keep his Oracle alive and just... Yeah, actually, he's doing just that now. The thing is, Vikings, made early on, are going to help with this so much. So I wonder if he goes for a Viking or a Medivac first, actually. We're going to have to keep an eye on that.
That one Widow Mine is positioned so sneaky. It's right behind this refinery. So if the Oracle actually flew in, it would be very, very difficult to ever see it. Very sneaky positioning there from MMA.
His position's so sneaky.
Sneaky, sneaky.
Sneakily.
I mean, you're invisible, you're undetectable, so you're underground, so it's quite sneaky to begin with, and then you're behind a building.
Then you still hide.
It's double sneaky.
It's like a DT playing hide and seek.
Yeah, sure. You actually have a DT under a real mothership. It's double cloaked. So, anyway, Void Rays are in production. This is what we're seeing. San now is going...
All right, gateway count. The explosion's happening. Just 2 for now.
Okay.
He just started mining from the gold, and he doesn't actually have all that many probes there just yet.
Did he deny that pit vision? No, he didn't. He saw the gold. He already...
Because in this situation, very often Protoss is not going to have detection. And by that, I mean nothing else than an Oracle, no Robo. And if he's able to drop that in the middle line and does a bunch of damage with it... Oh, actually, San thinking about a 3rd base? He's placed a probe there. And he's getting a forge, so I think he wants to get a cannon in each mineral line, but look at his main. He doesn't have a pylon to make a cannon right in the middle of his mineral line. If that Widow Mine was to be dropped in the main of San here, I think it will be very annoying. He will have to pull probes away, sacrifice one probe, get a cannon. The Widow Mine could be moved.
Yeah.
It will be a bad situation in general.
I was thinking it would be +1 on like weapons if he was going to go for the aggression, but it's not. He's going for the macro, and, well, he throws down the Forge on overcharge. That one Widow Mine. Oh, you have to be careful with those probes.
Yeah. Void Rays well placed. Were placed at the top to make sure nothing could flank. Actually, that Medivac is going to get chased down, and nice revelation is going to be used. San has played this so solid. This was a good move by MMA.
Yeah.
He stopped some mining time, even though he lost the Medivac and the Widow Mine. I would say it was worth it because he stopped a whole bunch of mining time.
And also with that drop, he ends up spotting the Void Rays as well, so he like knows what's going on. So this is a really it's an okay position for him, but he doesn't know about the third base. He's going to pressure across now though. See if he can do anything.
The SimCity scares me a little bit of MMA. He's going to have to move that barracks down his starport, otherwise some units could be stuck in there.
Yeah, that's true.
I think he's planning on swapping that with the factory, so should be okay. Oh, great push we see onto the gold here. But I don't know, without tanks here, you're not supposed to be able to do much. And San is going to react properly to this. You see he used the photon overcharge behind this. He has a whole bunch of sentries, Void Race. He has that one Oracle, which is... Oracle is the perfect word to describe this one in this game because it's literally sees everything and helps detect and all that. And with the third base up, San has played this, I feel, in the most optimal way he could have, because MMA, if he had been up against the 2 base here, I do think he would have been able to identify it, and I feel like unless Jack G, he would have prepared well enough to make sure he doesn't lose to a 2 base.
And everything that San has done has made MMA feel really quite pressured, right? With the build, thus he hasn't had quite the SCVs he would like out, thus he hasn't had quite the economy to fuel against that. San's... Oh, there is one
Look
little
at that poor guy,
Marauder.
that poor Marauder in the main.
Oh, he's stuck.
Let me out.
I guess Medevac can come and pick him up, so he should be okay.
But he has to do this every time, unless he figures out a good way to double rally point, I guess.
Yeah, that's okay.
And second engineering bay and an armory are going to go down. Has MMA ever done a 1-1 timing in his life? I feel like he always gets 2-2, like, as soon as possible, no matter what the matchup. This guy, man. This guy and his macro and his upgrades.
Yeah, you got him out. Congratulations.
Additional gateways are about to be made here by San. And MMA, upon realizing he's up against that third base, actually, he hasn't realized yet. He hasn't seen that third base. He should be able, right now, to kind of guess that this is up. And I think he might go for the golds, basically try to completely out-macro his opponent, and then make a difference before there is a transition out of San.
There was a bit of a tough supply block that MMA hit there.
He sees the Templars. He just saw the Templars. So this has been revealed. And unless he starts the Ghost Academy now, there is no way of completely planning to deal with this.
Yeah.
He could go for like multi-pronged attacks. And San's doing such a good job with the map presence, by the way. He's got pylons a little bit everywhere. He's got probes and zealots like in positions out on the map.
It's really good. He's like got this map on lockdown. And I don't think he fully spotted the High Templars, because the Ghost Academy just isn't here. And there's even a High Templar up to the very north of the gold base that would shut down any kind of drop play coming along from there. And wait, is there even a Phoenix up there just on patrol?
Yeah.
Jeez.
So you can see the entire place, man. The map on lockdown, I like the way you describe that. This is perfect. MMA, though, with all the Widow Mines he's getting, it's going to be really tough for San. It's been talked a lot about. It's going to be very hard for San to deal with this army with just a Charge Lord Templar Archon army based. So behind this, he's going for the Robo Bay, and I think it all comes down to the Storm at this point. If MMA dodges them, if he deals well with the Storms, he's going to do very well. The Widow Mines actually not in great positions. They're a little bit behind. It's very hard for San to attack, I guess, because MMA can just start a step back and into those Widow Mines.
Split very, very well across that. Storms won't really do much across this area of terrain. Drops a scan, sees that his opponent has left, so he feels a bit more comfortable to secure this third base.
An Immortals being made a little bit surprising, I guess. Rushing to Colossi definitely would be better here. Second Forge is going to be made by San, even though he's halfway through the level 3 ground armor, so I guess he could just change the attack behind this. And
sees the War Prism.
I feel like both players cannot really attack right now. If San attacks, he just runs into Widow Mines, he's in bad position. If MMA attacks, Storms are going to hit his army.
Okay, was that worth getting one High Templar? Might have been he lost quite a few Marines.
This is huge. War Prism in the main. There was no turret to help and prevent this. he's gonna basically force MMA to send a lot of units back in his main to defend. Could have done an attack on the third base in the meantime, but chose not to.
Exactly. The MMA has the presence of mind to leave a little bit back at that third base just to hold on against anything that will come along. 2 Widow Mines, getting themselves a few free kills. As there's no observer with the army, it's just coming along behind that army. Colossi now in production.
There were some Marines near that Widow Mine. They just steamed in excitement. They didn't even move.
Like, hooray! Oh well, we got a few kills. And 161 supply now against 129. San's army is a lot smaller, but it's the quality of it with High Templars, Colossi, Void Rays in there. It kind of equal up, especially since it's +3 armor's about to finish. But the Ghost Academy's just finished as well.
San should be careful. He's taking a third base when he had... actually, now he's caught up a little bit, but he had a lot less supply than his opponents. You never want to do that and then die. It's such a stupid way to throw away a game you're doing well in. So actually, MMA... I don't think he's planning some kind of huge attack anytime soon. This really feels like this could go into the very, very late game here, where they basically split the map. We see sensor towers being made, and even Tempest transition out of Protoss.
And he's got to be so careful about how he takes an engagement, does San, because there's now going to be 10 Widow Mines on the field. Any engagement he takes has to be pretty slow. You can't just, like, charge into that and lose, like, all of your Zealots in one volley of those Widow Mines. This Phoenix will eventually spot this big drop.
I feel like San has cut pro production a little bit early, by the way. Ideally, in this kind of game, you want to go up to 70 to 74, and now he's stopped at 64. I guess he had the goals, which makes sense now, but this is going to mine out shortly. And look, this is what I was talking about earlier. MMA is not scared to go for this kind of move. This was not anticipated. Not a single Templar in the main.
Yeah, his army's way out of position to actually deal with this. One Void Ray as well as one Archon are going to greet them, as well as a few Zealots, but same time a little bit of harassment down to the third. Storm tries to push this back. Widow Mines are in this army as well, so he has to be very, very careful. Good Storm on top of the Widow Mines that burrow, as well as some of this bio. And considering that he was nowhere near this, that wasn't too bad a defense.
But those Medivacs, they're infilled with units, I guess, not all of them, because it seemed like it was such a huge army added there, but this was actually a bit of a fake at the same time.
And that Storm as well as Colossi pushed that away. I felt that those Colossi were a little bit vulnerable, but San was keeping top of it.
Could get 2 Templars there if he targets.
Reloads. Gets. Did he get anything?
No, not like a Templar.
Zealot.
Well, you got a unit for sure,
Yeah,
not a Templar, sadly, which is what you want to get. San, he's getting the Colossus transition behind this. He's up to 4 right now. He's going to start an additional 1. And he's played this so well.
His army's good, man. It's really, really good.
Okay, I saw he started 2 Colossi now. I saw only one in the production tab. I was like, what the hell? So yeah, he's supply blocked here for a little bit. Oh, Templars at the bottom, catching some Medivacs. He just feedbacked and Storm dozed. And look at the hit points. They're full of units. Look at that guy. He's like, come here.
Yeah.
I'll slap you down.
Slap you down. Well, at least MMA was able to keep all of those alive down at the bottom. The army, though, of San, with the quality of it, is posturing in the middle. He has to be very careful. Storm, defensive Storm, to try and push all of this away from the 4th base. Don't think they can do too much. Very, very weak. But now the big army is going to move through here. Good Storm catches a lot of that bio, as well as the Vikings. And MMA, yeah, is just getting ripped apart by these Colossi. With all of those Vikings falling, there's nothing more to rival these Colossi. San taking a significant supply lead after some great Storms, great splash damage, use of those Zealots to soak up all the damage from there on out. And MMA just got ripped apart. This has been a really, really bizarre game for MMA to really try and hold on against this. San always kind of kept that pressure on, be it through one avenue or another. And the final Storms, couple of Stalkers going to kill off those with the Storms on the SCV line as well. GG. San takes the first game for him in this series and keeps his hopes alive here in the round of 4.
All right, so MMA so far, he's just playing it macro. He's making sure he takes the 3rd base on time, starts his upgrades very, very quickly. And I was using the word solid a lot. This was a lot less solid than the first 2 games, in which, I guess, from the start, he was already doing a lot better in the previous games. He countered everything well, whereas in this game, his biggest mistake, I think, was not spotting that 3rd base on time, and then spotting that the Templar tech and then the Colossus tech. So scouting-wise, he didn't do nearly as well as the previous games. We didn't see too many attempts to scan and all that. So I guess he was really, really scared of a 2 base, and that's what he was focused on at first. And then he was using a lot of mules to have basically more units instead of scouting. If he had known about that 3rd base earlier, he could have taken be a little bit more greedy, I guess. And also, there was a lot of small mistakes here and there, like getting a sensor tower at this point in the game. Very, very important thing to do, to see your opponent's army. As a Protoss, if you see a sensor tower, even if you have 4 Colossus, and you know that your opponent doesn't have many Vikings, it's very, very hard to attack, because you know that your opponent's going to be well set up to be ready and receive you. In this case, I actually think MMA wasn't even looking at his army at the moment he got engaged, because he wasn't moving.
Like
He just got stormed, everything was feedbacked, he lost everything instantly. He was looking across the map at those units he had dropped with.
And the way his army was positioned against the wall, there was really no room for him to actually like kite back, right, against the Zealot wave that flooded forwards. All right, well, game number 4 now. Polar Knight, we are loading up and getting good to go, as San is able to claw his way back forwards. He's got himself 1 map. Can he take a second and keep himself in this, tying it up? As we have spawning down to the south, our current reigning WCS Europe champion as our red Terran. Ladies and gentlemen, it is MMA. And up to the north as our blue Protoss, representing your Flash Wolves, bringing it back, it is San.
You know, after the first 2 games, I was very skeptical about if San might be able or not to even win a game in this series. I thought it was going to be a 3, or I think just like many people, but in that previous game, he really completely outdid his opponent. But I feel like the map really helped him in being able to do so. Being able to open with the Stargate and that goal base, even though it was spotted, then he knew not to commit enough. I mean, we could have seen a completely different game. We could have seen basically San fly his Oracle into a Widowmine, and then it's basically the opposite of what we saw. MMA exactly knows where he's at, he can attack, he can start dropping a lot. And now keeping the Oracle alive was so important. And yeah, San was just able to make this happen with great play. On Polar Knights, probably going to be harder to make something similar happen, I think.
He's just going to continue off the wall.
Especially since there is no gold base.
Yeah, that also would help if it were here, but alas, it is not here on Polar Knight. You know, I think, you know, San here with the wall-offs that he's creating, you know, looking to anticipate any kind of Reaper play from here. I think he just plays out like a macro game once again, but he's got to be careful, because if MMA is hitting, I mean, we saw in that last game, he was supply blocked quite heavily around the 95 mark for a little while, and it keeps happening from time to time here from MMA.
Yeah.
So it's like his macro is so well polished, aside from these 1 or 2 supply blocks that he hits, and then imagine if he's able to iron out those kinks. That's a scary MMA right there.
He would be the ultimate package.
He would be the ultimate ironed, well-tuned package. Yes, he would. All right. So first Reaper's going to be on the way soon. SCV pokes in. You can see he's a cybernetic core. Not much. He sees only 1 gas, which is happy times here from MMA. So he knows that there's not going to be some crazy tech hitting him.
Yeah. With San going for the Nexus. I'm a little bit surprised that San, after going for a Nexus, he doesn't even scout them, you know? He's been scouting very, very little. And I feel like this could open him up to some timings or even cheeses that he could die to. Just because he's not been scouting much. I wonder if MMA realizes that. And actually, if he was to do it, it would be in the 5th game of this series.
Sneaky Reaper.
I highly doubt that we will see that out of MMA, but could have been a good reaction.
Grabs a probe already. Good control here by MMA. And he's going to get out with his life. That Mothership core just a little bit hard.
The cybernetic core was misplaced too. It was supposed to be in that left-hand, between that left-hand side pylon and
yeah, and that Reaper wouldn't have been able to do that, right?
Yeah.
So
as our brilliant observer Funka pointed out.
Thanks,
He's been doing very well.
Yeah,
I'm very proud of him.
Yeah, he's been doing all right. Oh, he's been doing good. Okay, so Twilight Council behind this as well for San, right at the back of his main. So maybe we'll see some Blink play again. But again, the one great thing about Blink play in this matchup specifically is that even if you don't commit to it, even if you just show it, feign it at the very front of your opponent's base, you can still really cause them a big headache, and then transition behind it.
Yeah, we saw Protosses before able to transition out of this very well. And San, on this map, I have to wonder, does he finally commit to this? He only has 1 shot. If he chooses to commit to some kind of 5 or 6 gateway, actually it's going to be a Dark Shrine hidden in the corner of his base.
Wow, okay.
I think maybe he hopes that MMA somehow scans the main and misses the Dark Shrine, but sees the Twilights. This is a long shot, though. And again, the Dark Shrine is never a huge committal here. He could only send one single DT and see where that takes him. See if there's a turret. If there is no turret, then he sends it in the main, then he warps in another, sends it into the natural. Just like, kind of like you will do in PvP, except as an earlier expansion. But remember earlier on Frost, he had a pretty bad start with the 2 DTs getting killed.
Yeah.
You don't want that to happen.
Losing that Stalker, oh, he gets away. Wow, okay, so one more shot would have killed him off, poor little fella, but he does survive for now. And also, that Marauder, as Funker's pointing out, wasn't in exactly the right spot to slow that down. Because Michelle's trying to catch the second one, he will get away as well. That Dark Shrine's going to be finishing up soon. There is a pylon down to the south already. Fortunately, Charles is baiting out. Wait, force field on the ramp is important. Actually, just a few of these units on the other side.
Oh, he's going to lose the Stalker.
Oh.
And the probe as well, so MMA trying to kill as much as he can here with this.
Beautiful.
Oh, it's actually right outside the range. The safe zone, man.
Beautiful positioning there by MMA. I mean, he loses these units eventually, but if they can get a pylon, then they do. So that's good. But still, not much detection here. This engineering base just started up. And where are these DTs?
I think San wanted to be able to drop DTs earlier than he's going to be able to in this game. And he might not even drop them at all. We'll see if he starts a War Prism. Okay, he does.
Okay.
The Dark Shrine being missed here, this is bad news for MMA. He saw, I guess he sees that there is no Blink Stalker, clearly. He saw that the Stalker count was very low. Do you think he's able to realize from there? He still hasn't started a single turret. This is a little bit weird. He's misreading this here a little bit. He sees the pylon. This is again a big tell, but still no turret being started by MMA. But San, he's anticipating turrets being there. So because of that, he didn't even send a single DT forward to slice some SCVs up. And now he kills the Marine, so he even revealed that he has DTs. But did MMA even realize?
In this game, as we're seeing it unfold, is there any reason San could like take a much earlier third base compared to how he's normally been taking them?
Yeah, definitely. Especially with the way it's been going, he hasn't lost too many units at all. And he needs to be careful though, too early. Especially on this map, the third base is quite far away from the natural. It could be pretty hard to defend, especially against somebody like MMA who's very good with Medivacs. Remember, that map, originally when it first started being played in ladder, everybody was dropping a lot and Protoss thought it was impossible to defend against Medivac drops. Now they got a lot better at it, but still, it can be pretty tough.
This Warp Prism currently has nothing in it, so it's just poking around.
Nice bluff.
And yeah, when the Dark Templar starts going to work on the units trying to kill the pylon, that's pretty sick.
MC with the one Colossus plus Warp Prism, San is like DTs are better with the Warp Prism.
And that was kind of cool the way he was actually keeping it. I think that Warp Prism was hovering above the DT just in case a scan was to be dropped, picked up the Warp Prism and then just runs away. And, oh, actually, he's going to abandon this poor Dark Templar for a sec there.
I think San should start third base momentarily here. See, he's on double forge already. He's getting Colossus after a single Immortal was made. He already has a good production capability with the 3 gateways that he has. He's added on 3 extra ones. And Walker count-wise, he's done so well this game. 57 probes. Are you kidding me? Against 44 SCVs. If he takes a much earlier third base than his opponent, he's going to be in great position to even the score, I feel, in this series.
At least MMA was able to catch that Warp Prism in the middle. So that's a nice pickup that alleviates a little bit of the pressure that can happen in his main base. One Dark Templar, though, still sitting around looking at maybe the third base if MMA was to take it in a more aggressive stance. Because right now that command center is positioned to take it there. I mean, and he saw that positioning of the command center with the Warp Prism. So that's a good spot there for San.
Yeah, with that third command center behind it, behind all this for MMA here, I have to wonder, does he take the base?
I think he will.
Yeah, I think he takes that base where there's a single DT up right now, and that will mean he wants to be very aggressive. And look at San. He's gonna do the same thing, I think. He's gonna take the base that's a little bit closer to the action, I guess you could say. In this case, well, if MMA was to take that old base, that's a lot of speculation, but I think this is what might happen here.
He's flying now. He's flying to that third base.
Didn't have enough money to start or gas rather, to start the ground armor level 2. He's gonna have to pay attention to that. It's very important to start your 2-2 on time and chrono boost it out well. And I think if you look at the Colossus counts, we have 2 out right now. Thermal Lens just finished. San is investing all of his chrono boost into the forges only, so his Colossi count is going to be pretty low actually.
I love the split of the army there from San in his main and in between his natural and third, but there's the cleanup crew coming to kill off that Dark Templar.
Remember what happened on Heavy Rain. The Stalkers were out of position, they were ready to defend in the main. If this was to happen again, and MMA momentarily attacks into that third base of San with the same kind of concave, which again on this map is possible, it will be very, very hard for San to defend. Also, keep in mind, the Mothership Core on this map, where do you leave it between your three bases? It's very hard.
Well, this is the thing. I think this is where MMA should play the ultimate mind game and actually not drop, just take all of his army and press this third base. But, you know, he's so renowned for this kind of move as he tries to drop in the main. One of the medevacs is going to die off.
Oh my god.
Both die off.
6 probes died.
Oh, and the cleanup on the right-hand side as well.
Yeah, but 6 probes just were killed with one detonation of that Widowmine. Behind this, San doesn't have the capability to counterattack. Especially since there was, well, there could be a medivac out on the map, on the top left-hand side, ready to drop in. And he doesn't know if there is or not. So, okay, he's starting to regroup. I wonder if he attacks. He's getting the Templar Archive. He could do a 2-2 timing, which would be quite deadly.
Yeah.
Doing a timing attack right after this had happened wasn't possible because he had to regroup first. But now, he might actually go for it. Look at this. San is not taking the gases yet on his third base. He has a supply lead. He might be able to realize that he has it. If he goes for charge lots plus Archons in support for his Force Colossi that's on the way and the army that he already has, he could be in a position to basically close the deal on this map and win this game. The thing is, the Viking count is very scary in this game. 10 right now against 3 Colossus, a 4th one on the way. I think MMA has enough Vikings to deal with the Colossi, but does he have enough army and good enough of an engagement to deal with the much earlier 2-2 of his opponents? Because MMA right now is only 1-1.
Yes, Sim back against that Zealot wave.
Only 2 medivacs, by the way. Only 2 medivacs, because he really wants to make
low.
Vikings.
Yeah, it's very, very low, so there's not a whole lot of longevity in this army.
It's funny how MMA has all the... He almost has more Vikings than he has Marauders right now. This is ridiculous.
That's
12 Vikings for 17 Marauders.
I guess he really, really wants those Colossi to die fast. And I guess that does help out a lot in these engagements, as Stalkers are going to poke forwards here for a second, get a good idea of what's going on. Because, I mean, MMA dropped the scan before we realized that there was no observer.
About it, but then it's like, nah, you know what? Just going to play my best style, which is more transition into Storm, taking the gases on third base, getting some cannoners ups here and there. And San is playing this a little bit scared, I feel, because you know what? He hasn't started the 3-3. I guess he has to prioritize the Storm and some Templars. But look at how he's leaving units back in his main ready to defend with the Templar, the Zealots and all that. He's up against MMA. MMA has turned around big games like this kind of game before. So San wants to make sure he doesn't lose 3-1 here to some kind of crazy comeback by MMA. And man, those armies, they're gonna clash soon. And the SCVs are coming to support this. It's time.
All right, here we go. MMA is just gonna try and push onto this third base.
San has no way to see this coming. His Mothership Core is actually so far out of position. He will need a Time Warp and a Photon Overcharge to really help with this.
The Stalkers, sorry, but look at the size of this army. Those SCVs are gonna try and soak up a lot. 2 cannons are already here, but that's not the biggest of armies. High Templar on the left-hand side, a lot on the right-hand side as well. But the Vikings,
need the best Storms ever.
Yeah, and those Vikings are very, very clumped up. If we can land a few on that, that'd be a great start here. But all the bio is way out of range of these 4 Colossi at the back. The Zealots try and charge forward, but the Vikings are getting the job done at the front here for MMA. They've killed off the majority of the Colossi.
No Photon Overcharge.
Oh, yeah, the Mothership Core fell as well. This Bioforce is here and is still holding on strong. That's such a strong bio army. It's 96 army supply against 84. The Nexus is definitely going to fall. This army needs more reinforcement, needs more support. There's not really that much splash damage left over. One of the Storms on the left-hand side doing a good job, trying to push this back. Those 2 Archons need to do a lot here to hold on. But behind this, if he's able to hold on, there you go. GG, San held on against it, and it all comes down in the end to the worker count. He had 22 left, while against 61, as San was able to hold on.
He pulled all SCVs, so if this gets held and Protoss even has a single Stalker out, he basically won. Even having lost that third base, San didn't lose a single probe during while all of this was happening. So mistakes were made here and there, but overall this timing hit way too late for it to be able to work for MMA. you know, there was a whole bunch of Templars. San was maxed out. Usually when you see an SCV pool, Protoss is not maxed out. And if he's maxed out, that means that during the fight, he's going to be mining enough minerals to basically remake units during the fight, right in the middle of that fight. So there was way too much for San here, for MMA to be able to make this work. He would have needed like the best EMPs of his life, aka you clump up and you get hit by like 3 EMPs. And even then, he would have had a chance to hold, I think.
I want to come back to an idea that I think we've actually spoken about previously in the past, Todd, which is because MMA is this player who almost always will go for the best option in games. So the best option in that scenario against a 3-base Protoss is for him to pick up 2 medevacs worth of units, go and try and drop in the main, and then go and try and pressure the third.
Yeah.
What would have happened if MMA chooses the, in inverted commas, dumb option of getting his whole entire army, because San is spreading out all of his units so far across a map like Polar Night, and takes everything that MMA has to the third?
I think that's where what you think the best option is needs to be defined as what is unexpected. Because what you were saying now is that the best option is to go for a medivac drop, maybe, because San could not be ready for this and it could be very strong, but San was ready for it. So the best option is to go where your opponent is not, with most of your army. And in this case, that's what MMA did, and it still wasn't enough.
All right, well, now, I mean, this comes down to one more map. San has been able to claw it back 2 games. I actually use a wrong phrase there in terms of clawing it, because his games have been strong. His game on Habitation Station, he was really, really playing with his opponent. And game number 4, very, very strong execution, great defensive capabilities, and a great setup overall against MMA, who looked a little bit flustered there, looking to go for that killing blow with the SCV pull.
Yeah, no, I think it's the first few medivac drops. Remember how well they were defended?
Yeah, exactly.
That basically set up San very nicely in this game with more upgrades, more tech and all that. So if MMA had done damage with those medivac drops, we would have seen the opposite. He would have pulled SCVs and ended it. So really the mid game, very, very important when players like these two face each other and try and go into a standard 3-base setup.
Okay, MMA versus San. 1 game remains to find out who moves on to the grand final tomorrow, as we have spawning down to the bottom left-hand corner. I will say it one more time in this series. He is our WCS Europe Season 3 reigning champion. It is MMA. And up to the top right-hand corner, currently staging a brilliant comeback. Can he see it through to all 3 maps he needs? Representing Yo Flash Wolves, it is San.
What better map to end this series on than Yonsu? Okay, maybe Frost, but
I was gonna say.
But Yonsu is pretty good. It's one of the most explored maps where you already kind of know what to expect. It's very, very hard to come up with new stuff on it. And that means it's going to come down to execution for the most part. Really being able to read into what your opponent's up to, where his units are at, for both players. Because MMA is usually the one putting on the harassment, doing the medivac drops, and MMA is the one defending. If you're able to get that one little bit of information with a nicely placed usually observer, but with then be it a zealot, a pylon, or a probe, is using all of those tools to be able to know what he's up against. I think this could go well for San here. If he's able again to set up on 3 bases and not take any damage in the mid game, I'm not sure that MMA might have the answer for the style of San, which is super solid. After the first 2 games, I really had my doubts, but he really brought it in the next 2. And MMA, man, he's gonna have to be careful here in the mid game if we see a standard game and he starts dropping, not to commit too much to it, because in the previous game I really feel like this was his biggest mistake. Dropped here and there, lost a few units too many, and San's unit spreads was perfect. You know, the perfect choice I think in the previous game that I think MMA could have done was the same type of attack that he did on the heavy rain on that 3rd base just before it finished. Can you imagine? There was a lot of units in the main.
Don't cancel the Zealot. Don't cancel the Zealot. Okay, let's finish. I think the pro might have seen the...
Yeah, I mean, even then, it's...
Yeah.
Like, you get
It's
a
really
stalker,
annoying.
it's obviously worse. The thing is, in this case, MMA hasn't started CC yet, and I think San knows that, so he's like, you delay my Nexus, but not by all that much, because I'm going to chrono boost out units, and you delayed your own command center by doing that, so it's not the end of the world.
This is quite annoying, though. The Engineering Bay and Reaper do actually synergize well with one another quite heavily. And behind that, the Command Center goes down for MMA. So this is an alright start here for MMA. As long as he's able to keep the Reaper alive. If that dies, it's an absolute travesty. And
he's using the speed of that Reaper very, very well. You see now he goes into the main because he knows that the Mothership Core was at the expansion, and there is probably not going to be a Reaper, a Stalker out to help him defend against this. Now he's going to get right back into the natural, maybe. Try and get a kill on that probe. Might be able to get it too. Can he get it before the Nexus goes down? I think he is.
Oh, bye-bye.
Oh, wow.
That's nice.
This is like one of those probe plus Pylon block against a hatchery.
Yeah.
Like, he delayed that so much.
Wow. Hey, Twilight Council behind all of this. It's a little bit quicker.
Yeah.
But, I mean, he had the minerals for it, right? Because he was a little bit delayed anyway, so... And Reaper's going to try and get in there. Mothership Core's already positioning itself to greet the Reaper, but it's not going to deny it. Are you a ballsy Reaper? Are you? Are you going to go further? No, you're not.
You're no Kailaris Reaper. They are fearless.
No, I also wouldn't have got into the mineral line because I am a wuss. So... Anyway.
All right, San... A lot of Protoss here will be a little bit tilted by all that block that happened in the natural, and they could go into something reckless, like 4 gateways blink and commit to it just because of the annoying start that they had. But in this case, he goes for the Dark Shrine again. I have to wonder, does he think this is the best opener right now? Or is he really hoping to just try and basically surprise open? Oh, he transferred pros.
I was going to say, like, he's like, I really want that.
Oh, I guess he overreacts very heavily to that one Reaper here, but...
Oh, he got a probe even.
Yeah. Does he cancel the Dark Shrine or not? Now that's the question. I don't think so, because it's only 150. Even though you get that, you're still going to have your Photon Overcharge ready back at home in your Stalkers to be safe. And remember in the previous game, the DTs, they weren't spotted early on, but MMA realized quite early that they were there. And still, they didn't do anything, mostly because San didn't even send one into the mineral lines to kill some SCVs.
They got a bit of army kill. They got a few Marines.
That's what I was going to say. So that's even more of an incentive to keep the Dark Shrine alive here and to try and do the same, maybe.
Yeah.
Obviously, with the way that last game went, I think that San would be definitely pleased with the game opening this in a similar way here.
And it's really cool how San actually uses this, because if you think about it, it forces out the earlier engineering bay, it forces out at least a turret at the front, and then with the incorporation of the Robo as well, that he's always going to get to play out a standard game with the Warp Prism, it forces out either a scan or a missile turret in the main as well, if he actually goes for that Warp Prism choice here. So it does force out a lot from your opponent for a build that isn't too intensive anymore in terms of expenditure.
All right, an Immortal's being made again. I guess San, it's his trademark here. You know, he always gets at least one Immortal, which makes sense, because when you open with DTs like this, you're going to be on gateway units for a very, very long time. And if you try and rush to Colossus and you get hit just a little bit before that, even by pure bio, without Medivacs, you're going to be in trouble. So having one Immortal really going to help with all that firepower. And the gateway is going to be added on the single gateway actually right now. Interesting. Okay,
could be a few more.
Yeah. You should go up to 6 always when you take the Colossus minimum. And he's gone up to 5 right now. Those DTs being so annoying.
Yeah. Because you know that pylon on the left-hand side always looms, and you have to go and deal with it, and then you know there's a Dark Templar.
Looms.
Like, yeah, man. It's like the Sword of Damocles, man. It's looming above his head. What? Why are you laughing at me? Anyway.
Oh, wow. We finally have a change in the transition out of San. I was fully expecting Colossus, just like in the previous games, but now he goes into Templar Archive, so he's going to mix it up, which I don't think this is going to be expected out of MMA. I mean, on Habitation Station, he went for the Templars, but that was because he had open Stargate. It was a very different situation. A once-in-a-lifetime situation where you take the gold and all that. So here, opening with this, now MMA scans and sees the gateway explosion. I wonder if he's able to realize that it's most likely going to be Storm, and it is. In which case, you basically need to adapt. You need to be more careful with drops against feedbacks, not blink. Blink was also possible here, by the way, but usually when you go for this quick storm, you almost always get charged. It makes a lot more sense. Oh, that DT. You're gonna see the medivacs. And as I said, when every bit of information counts, even though this gets scanned and killed, he saw where the medivacs were and when they were there. So look at it. This is so funny. Look on the right-hand side, we have an observer and a Marine, and the Warp Prism flies by. This wasn't spotted by MMA. And they are both gonna try to do some economic damage to each other here. By the way, MMA, his third command center was made earlier, but he's not flown that as quickly as possible to the third base.
Good scan reveals that his opponent's army is positioning itself to greet it, and then Storm now has had tons of time bought for it to finish up, which is very, very nice.
I wonder what this Warp Prism does. Maybe a DT here and there, some Zealots loaded up in it, ready to warp. Yeah, DT on the third base makes sense. Remember, he kept on doing that before.
Yeah, I can't remember which. It was Frost that he sent a Zealot into the third base.
Oh, you know what he could do? Snipe the SCV, then pick up and leave.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Or just stand there for a while, I guess.
Yeah, but then you just get scanned and killed. It's not worth it at this point. Look, MMA is teaming in there.
Oh, wow. Yeah, he really wants to clean that up fast. I guess he is going to stand there for a second. He needs to get away. No! Oh, okay. So he chose my option. He chose my option, Todd, and then proceeded to die. So in the end, your option was indeed better.
San setting up for some nice defense in his main. I do think he's going to go for a third base. The question is which. And it looks like he's going to be the one below his main base. See that in-control cannon in the main? With the Templar and some Zealots? It's always there, and everybody's a big fan of the in-control cannon.
It's very well defended. It's a good defense, right?
Actually, the cannon is quite horrible because
it's not in the best
against upgraded units, but it helps against the medivacs. MMA with a slight supply lead here. He has a great production capability. Nice SimCity, by the way, by MMA. Very clean base. We saw the barracks. Those engineering base a little bit exposed against some kind of Warp Prism drop. But if you look at the vision that he has on the map, on the left-hand side, he has a bunch of Marines able to spot any counter-attack. Oh, he's going to have to react very quick. This is a very, very scary timing here.
Yeah.
3 Mortals, a bunch of Templars, so many storms. He has like 2 or 3 storms.
Trying to control against that. San actually doesn't have a pylon forwards to actually warp into, so he had to warp in units right at the back there, did San. And he's trying to get third base behind this as well. So there is still a good game plan behind all of this.
This is the difficulty of that composition here. When you go for Charge Lord Templar, even with Immortals, engaging into Widow Mines, how do you do it?
Yeah, it's difficult.
Very difficult. You need Colossus, and look, behind this, the Robo base being added.
You have to take a much slower fight here as the Protoss. So the third base at the, well, that's a pretty late third base once again.
Very, very late. Just because of all that harassment that MMA was able to put on, he has his own third base so much earlier than his opponent. And remember what happened before, when this was the case. A huge timing was hit by MMA. With which he was able to win. So
I mean, the supplies really say a lot here for MMA compared to Sam. But one thing that's apparent is that, you know, Storm finished up quite a while ago. Ghost Academy has only just finished. So I don't think he can really do a huge amount. Probe on the right-hand side spotted 3 medivacs. Good job, Probe.
The medivacs on the bottom right-hand side, they flew above a probe and they boosted away in fear.
No, you cannot be seen. And well. Oh, gotta be careful here. That's this is quite a strong position that MMA is claiming himself, because that army.
The Templars.
Gotta be careful.
Oh, with the Warp Prism, this is so smart.
Oh, he ran through that storm.
The drop in the main.
What is going on there? That was quite strange. I guess his attention was focused elsewhere because this drop is pretty annoying. That's a lot of Widow Mines there. Mothership Core out of place to really deal with that. It's 1 High Templar with Storm, but a few Widow Mines connect with some of these Zealots, picks up and drops once again.
San has a big problem right now. He only has 1 Robo. He wants to be making Colossus, but there is Widow Mines being burrowed everywhere. In his main when he gets dropped, and on the map, and in the fight. So ideally, we'd like to have more observers, which right now he does not have. Oh, there are still a few units in those medivacs.
Sticking around, has to warp in some Zealots there, getting worked at. And
oh my god, the Warp Prism just flew into Widow Mines.
Oh dear.
And died. And there was Templars inside, I think. San falling apart here against all the Widow Mines usage of his opponents.
Thankfully for him, he still has 5 High Templars on the field, so has a few Storms available to him.
A few.
And one of those Storms doesn't do too badly against some of that bio. But again, behind this, MMA is still almost maxed out. He starts 3-3 as well.
He's getting Ghosts, and I think he could hit the timing before there is enough Colossus for them to be really effective in a big fight.
There's only 1.
Yeah, second one is on the way in Thermal Lance as well. The thing is, with all of that action, San has hotted upgrades. He's out of great research.
No, is he going to get this? Is he going to get this? Is he actually going to get that? Oh my god!
And San is stuck on 2-1 now. MMA has 3-3 on the way. He's on 2-2 upgrades. He has a nice supply lead. He's going to go for a big attack on the third base. This is going to be so hard for San to hold this. 125 army supply to 110. So many Widow Mines and Ghosts to deal with.
I absolutely cannot believe he was able to get that upgrade. This army's now posturing itself. He has to be careful. There's 2 high Templars on the right-hand side. Those units still going to work some of these units in the main. But now, all the focus is here for San. San has to hold on for dear life. There's really not a huge amount of firepower behind this army for San. The Zealots are going to try and push away a lot of this. Storm's hit as well, but the Zealots are being kited back. Those Colossi are all the more like useless here against this. This is really, really difficult. 119 army supply against 83. Storm will hit a little bit of that again, but MMA is going to continue ramping up this pressure. Those 2 Vikings go completely uncontested, and they were just doing so much work against those Colossi.
Yeah.
Look, there's nothing hitting them. There's nothing hitting them. He's actually going to get 2 Vikings just killed on damn Colossus. He's going to get another one if he's not careful.
Oh, he's on hold position.
Oh, dear me. Good split here by MMA. He seeks blood. He seeks the throat. He wants to kill him off right here, right now. Even lands the Vikings. The last Colossus ends up falling. How is he going to hold off against this bio? San is on the verge of elimination here in the round of 4 as MMA is ravaging this final remaining Protoss force. GG! And MMA, our reigning WCS Europe champion, is able to move through to the grand final once again to meet MC. I cannot believe we have a rematch from WCS Season 3 2013. That is absolutely amazing.
You know, San, he started to... There was the beginning of a comeback here that started, and somehow MMA was able to put an end to that on Yonsu after a pretty nice game where, again, he played solid and standard, but just the execution from start to finish was like in the first 2 games. Very close to perfect. Those drops in the main, man. Only him is able to do that. So many Terrans, they would drop in there, get feedback, lose everything. And the way, it's not only the drops themselves, but the way he mixed in Widow Mines in his drop, that's so smart.
Yeah.
Protoss, you don't want to have like 5 observers, 3 out on the map, and 1 with each part of your army. So usually you make a cannon here and there. The in-control cannon was too far. The Mothership Core died right away when those Medivac drops. And then he used a time war, but I mean, who cares at this point? And those units in the main, even at the end of the game here, they were back there. They were dropped, stamping buildings and units, and just very good execution and adaptation of MMA here in this last game.
All right, well, without further ado, guys, you've heard enough from us. Now we can hear from our grand finalist, Mr. MMA.
MMA, congratulations. A fabulous victory in a very tough match against San. And you've made the final again. Talk to me about what's going through your mind right now.
진짜 처음에 2대0에서 이기고 3대0 진짜 이거 되나 싶을 정도로 너무 1, 2경기가 좀 제가 잘 풀려가지고 잘 풀릴 줄 알았거든요. 근데 2대2까지 따라오고 나서 그 블리자드컵 때 그 동래구 선수가 생각났어요. 4대3으로 이긴 거. 그래가지고 이거 정신 차리고 하자 해서 했는데 이긴 것 같아요.
He said when he was at 2-0, he said, oh my gosh, can I do this? Can I 3-0 this guy? And then it got to 2-2, and he sat there, and then he thought about his game versus Donghaegu. Said, you know what? I just need to calm down, do this, take it slow, and he's just so happy that he was able to win this series.
What is it about your matches and the way that you play that you seem to start the season quite slowly and you struggle a little bit, but as it gets further on through the season, you seem to get better and better and better?
지금 하나도 안 들어요, 영어.
그러니까 처음에 시작할 때는 되게 어렵게
네, 저번
계속 올라갈수록 더 잘해지는 것 같다고 그거에 대해서 얘기해달라고.
I don't know.
That's okay. That's a good enough answer as it is. We don't know either. Apollo said before your quarterfinal that he thought that you had to bring your AAA game to win, and you did that yesterday. How different was it for you today with the pressure and playing San? He was such a big favorite, and playing Protoss, of course. Just explain to me how you approached the match today.
어제랑 오늘 비교하면 오늘의 준비한 거에 대해서 좀 얘기해.
어제 저그전은 그 고석현 선수랑 조명한 골든 선수랑 연습을 많이 했었거든요. 그래서 저번에 이기고 나서 그 축하 인사를 아니 고맙다는 인사를 못했는데 이 자리를 빌어 고맙다고 말하고 싶고요. 오늘 연습은 리퀴드 마나 선수가 되게 많이 도와줬어요. 계속 조언도 많이 해주고 그래서 좀 연습하는데 수월히 했던 것 같아요.
Okay, he said when he was practicing for Zerg, he had Hyun and Golden help him out a lot, so he wants to thank them. And then for today, Liquid Mana actually has been really helping him out with that, so he just wants to say thanks and thinks those kinds of help that he gets really helps his game.
Good one. Nice one, Mana. Nice to hear the Europeans are helping him out. MC is next. Again, it's MC versus MMA. You beat him in the last season final. I know you two have had a little bit of... it's becoming a big rivalry now, a bit like the rivals you had in GSL. Explain to me what it would mean to you to beat him again and win WCS Europe Season 1.
저 이미 이겼다고 생각하고요. 저는 이게 결승전인 줄 알았어요. 그래서 아까 트로피 지금 가져가려고 했거든요. 민철이는 안 보여요 지금.
He said, wait a second, this wasn't the final? I don't even see MC in the equation. I already think I've won this anyway. That's why I went over there to get the trophy after the game. So MC, not much to me right now.
Okay. I don't know what else to say to that, but ladies and gentlemen, MMA reaches his second consecutive final.
He has one more thing to say.
Okay.
제가 결승에서 진짜 혹시나 못 이길 수도 있으니까 인터뷰 못 할 수도 있잖아요. 혹시나 해서 지금 제가 고맙다는 말을 하고 싶은 사람이 있는데 제가 지금 엑시옴이랑 에이서랑 파트너십이 끝났는데도 불구하고 존이랑 제나가 계속 엑시옴 하우스에 계속 지내게 해줄 수 있게 해줘요. 엑시옴 가족처럼. 그래서 이 자리를 빌어 고맙고요. 그리고 저희 에이서 팀에 저를 진짜 애기처럼 잘 돌봐주는 우버 저희 사장 우버랑 프레드 그리고 알렉스에게 고맙다고 그리고 이누에게 너무 고맙다고.
All right, he says just in case he doesn't win the final, there are some people he wants to thank. Right now, even though Axiom and Acer have broken their contract together, he is still living at the Axiom house, and he really wants to thank John and Jenna for taking care of him like their son, basically. And he also wants to thank Team Acer, Uber, and 또 누구?
우버, 알렉스, 이누 그리고 해삼, 민수 이렇게.
And those people he would like to thank very much. And this is only just in case he doesn't win the finals.
Okay, that's good to get that one out of the way. I've got an extra question in that case. Are you now son of Total Biscuit rather than son of Boxer?
전에 son of Boxer였었잖아. 이제 넌 토로 비스킷의 아들이냐고.
저는 누구의 아들이라고 불려도 상관없고 그냥 제 위치에서 정말 최선을 다하고 있습니다.
He said it doesn't matter whose son he is. He's just going to try the best and be a great player.
그리고 제가 이제는 누구의 아들이 아닌 진짜 그냥 아버지가 되고 싶어요.
He said actually he doesn't want to be anyone's son anymore. He would like to be a father of someone.
Wow, okay. That's good. I like that. It's very good. He's chatty tonight, so I just wanted to let him get going. Brilliant game from MMA. He is through to the final to play MC again. Let's find out from Apollo exactly how he managed to do it.
We're all watching around this screen actually when the game was playing and all blown away. And I'm going to try and walk you through kind of the game-changing moments that gave MMA the grand finals here. So everything before this had been completely pretty much stalemate. Like they'd gone for one thing, it got countered, one thing countered, and just completely back and forth throughout the game. Biggest example would be the Dark Templar rush. From this point is when we started to see decisions and big game-changing decisions happening. This was a push-out by San, which surprised many because it looked like he was initially playing rather defensive with the Immortals, and all of a sudden he just bounced out with +2 armor, finishing up these 3 Immortals in his composition, and with Storm and High Templar ready to go, so was he. And this was actually a very dangerous moment from MMA. But luckily, he had realized he was playing against like a Zealot Immortal Templar play, so we had Widowmines to save him for the time being. So if we play it from this point, this is the attack that comes in, which Sam was ready to go for. He jumps in, but of course Widowmines immediately push him back out again. He had thrown his Nexus down, but he definitely wanted to do some major damage here. MMA is like, oh, and you could see it in their playstyles actually a lot. Is that they were shaking, the army movement was almost crisp, but definitely shaky at points. Observer out of position, which really hurt San, and allowed MMA, if we pause it for a quick sec, to again counter another game-changing potential movement here. As you can see, a beautiful arc from MMA, and then bunkers coming down. If San attacks into this, he's dead, he's gone. It doesn't matter what he has. So from this point, MMA starts to realize that this isn't going to happen and he's not going to get attacked. So then he decides, all right, what am I going to do next? How am I going to play this guy? If he isn't going to attack me on 2 bases, he's clearly going to take a 3rd base. And as he moves up, he realizes what's going on. So here's a big decision upstairs on how he was going to win this game. He's going to pick 3 Medivacs while pressuring the not seen but expected 3rd base. And obviously against San, who's, if we pause it from this point, at this point he's like, all right, 3rd base is going to be on the way. MMA is going to drag him down this left-hand side because San, who didn't really do the damage on 2 bases, is now going to have to defend this 3rd, obviously. So MMA drags him one way, and then with the 3 Medivacs is going to go the other way, which is a really big move. So if we play it from here, it does get spotted by San, which helps him out a little bit, but if it hadn't, it could have been even worse. So we can fast forward it here. And this is where the real game-changing moments happen. So we get this drop inside, and then as Todd said in the cast, this is where San started to fall apart, because playing against MMA, he can be everywhere. He's dropping you all over the place, so it does really get difficult. So even though San is starting to be able to hold on a little bit, if we just speed it up, it gets intensified, basically. So this, you know, there's movements coming down here. He's still dropping and harassing. San's like, got to go this way, got to go that way. But if we pause it, the most important part of all of this, as well as San's doing and defending, look at the 3rd. What is the 3rd doing in this game? Absolutely nothing, because he wants it, but he can't have it. And then if you think back to where we begun and where MMA was with his 3rd, he's light years ahead with his economy. So even 4th Command Center on the way, I didn't even notice that. That's massive. The supply, the harvest is great. So if you fast forward it again, this just gets harder and harder and harder and harder. And then, as we all enjoyed in the crowd here live, Thermal Lance gets taken out. This is huge for the Colossus. Really, really big, especially because if Protoss is able to combine both Storm and Colossus, which were effective, pretty big, right before it finished. And then from this point, if you look at the unit composition, because of a starved Protoss player, does he have any anti-air? Can he stop Vikings? No. He's got 1 Stalker. And I think at this point, with the Widow Mines, the Ghost Control, the Viking, the harassment still ongoing, by the way, just a really, really beautifully played out in a very intense scenario from MMA. And this is where he's able to pick up the win. So a really, really good game. We can play it through and you can see it one more time. It's an absolutely fantastic game. They're really close, really tense, and a well-deserved win by MMA. And here he comes for the victory. Just drop supply without Storm, without, you know, Colossus being effective here. It's just the Gateway Army. GG. Really well played by MMA. Thanks for listening, taking some time with me. I'm going to pass it over to Red Eye, who's waiting.
Thank you, Sean. Great breakdown there of how the MMA train came steaming through San to claim his 2nd consecutive final. And it's a rematch, ladies and gents. We've got WCS Europe Season 3's championship yet again in Season 1. They all turned up this year. We had men coming in from Korea, changing over from America, new players and old players joining together. But in the end, it's the same 2 faces in the grand final. Ladies and gentlemen, it's MC versus MMA. And you will be able to watch that with us tomorrow here in the ESL studio. Make sure you're tuned in tomorrow at 8 p.m. Central European Summer Time. We've got a little bit of a pre-show and something very special. I promise you, stick it on Reddit. Make sure you tell all your friends. Turn up at 8 p.m. Central European Summer Time tomorrow for something very, very unique before the grand final. That is it from WCS Europe for today, but don't go too far away because we're all going to get our cowboy hats on next as we go live to WCS America.